Hello, bonjour, sawadira. Welcome to the second episode of Apero Talk. Wow, we made it to the second episode. To be honest, I really thought that 1 month between each episode would be like too long, and I would be like, yeah, maybe we can skip to every 2 weeks. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I am completely like this month has flown by. I genuinely don't know what happened. Like I genuinely feel like I'm still in August. So yeah, once a month is good for now, for real. I have my studies to focus on and a bunch of other shit. As you can see, if you're watching the video version, I now have my pink couch cover. Love it so much more. Like the gray was not it. The gray was not for me. And yeah, today I just came back from class. I was supposed to record this episode like 2 days ago, but I have been sleeping so terribly. Like I'm gonna be honest, my mental health at the moment is not 100. I would say it's 60%, which is already good because I have depressive tendencies. So it could be minus 100. So yeah, it's not that bad. But yeah, today, because it's not Apero Talk without an apero, we have, for the drink, I found this one called Bam Bam. And I immediately thought of Bam Bam from Goat 7, which is like super famous in Thailand, because he's actually Thai. So like Thai people are super proud of their own when they succeed, especially in Korea, because Thai people are obsessed with Korea. And so yeah, I bought this one because it had a strawberry on it. And yeah, it's only 4% alcohol. So that's good because last time, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of got drunk off that soju. Yeah, I am a lightweight. I might be big in size, but I am a lightweight in my heart. So yeah. So let's open this up and see. First time I see a can having tape on top of it to protect it. Like this makes me feel like this drink is like super, like it's a secret, like it's something out of the CIA or something. It actually has the taste of strawberry soju. It's okay. It's not sweet enough for me because I have like the biggest sweet tooth ever. It's okay. It's fine. It's good. As for the snack today, I chose mixed because if you watch my channel, I reviewed a bunch of Thai product placements that are present in Thai dramas, and mix is one of them. Is from the series 1,000 Stars. And I actually, like, I had no expectations for this snack and actually fell in love. And I haven't had it since I came back to Thailand and since I left. So it's been 4 months or yeah, 5 months actually since I've had it. And by fucking crazy coincidence, I find it in my local 7-Eleven. Even though before I used to never find it. So yeah, let's taste it. I'm super hungry. Let's go. As good as I remember, folks. I love that. Okay, let's close this up for now because, bitch, I will finish this whole box. So anyways, let's get started with today's theme. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like, the first episode was just a warm-up. Like, it was about a topic that I'm not particularly, like, super passionate about, and I just wanted to get started. Honestly, to be honest, when I finished recording the first episode, I was like, what is this? This was shit. And finally, I think it was okay. I think I have to work on not moving too fast from one topic to another. The problem is I'm an overthinker, so my mind is always overthinking about 5,000 things. So I go from one period of my life to another, from one topic to another, which is seamless, but sometimes I don't have the time to finish my thoughts on the first topic I had started. So gonna work on that. Today's topic is something that I am a bit more invested in, and I have thought about it a lot in my life. And it's about being biracial. So let's get started. Today I have no script, nothing. The first episode I had a few like points that I wanted to hit. This time we are like doing it raw, bitch. And so basically I am biracial. I am half white, half Lebanese. So my mom is, as far as I know, fully Lebanese. That's what she told me. I'm sure like back in the past there is some like other Middle Eastern country that's like hooked up with one of my ancestors or something. So I'm sure she's not like technically 50% Lebanese, but pretty close. And then on my dad's side, my grandma is half Belgian, half Luxembourger, and my grandpa, rest in peace, is fully French. So yeah, I have more Lebanese blood, technically, from what I've been told. Again, I've actually never done like a DNA test before. I wanted to do one with my best friend, but they cost quite a lot. And also now I've heard that they collect your data and like sell it to so many people. And I'm like, do I want that? I mean, at this point already, all of my data is all over every company ever, but still. So I haven't done it. I was supposed to do it with my best friend, and then the 1 year my best friend was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I was like, 60 euros. We were still teenagers. 60 euros is a lot for me to like give now. And she said, okay, I'll do it alone. And yeah, I've never told her, but it really broke my heart. It was supposed to be like a bonding moment, and here we are. So she knows her ethnicity. I do not. So anyways, so yeah, if you're watching this video, I am white. I am white passing. I am white. I personally, here's how I perceive color. Because color has been fabricated by colonizers and racist as white people back in the past, and honestly, they're still the ones the most obsessed with colors. But anyways, it's something that actually should not exist, right? Everyone should be their skin tone with their type of features, and it should be just themselves, but sadly it has become like, this person is black, this person is half, this person is Asian, this person is South American, etc. And so on that scale, on how I am perceived by others, and I truly believe that it's actually what defines you, because it's how you're gonna be treated in life. I am white in everyone's eyes. I've never had anyone tell me, you look like you are half Middle Eastern. Or even full, you look like you're Middle Eastern. Never. So this is why in the first episode I touched upon that a little bit, that I consider myself, I will go between mixed, biracial, and white. So I will call myself white now. It's something that I've started doing only a couple years ago, because I have a very complicated relationship with my biraciality. Is that the word? Yeah, it's just something that, from all of my identities that I'm gonna make episodes of this podcast on, all of them came later, after this one. I realized I was biracial before I realized I was even a woman, even though being a woman is such an integral part of my identity. I would say it's the first definer of my experience that I use if I have to introduce myself. Yet the first thing I realized in life was that I was not normal. I didn't really fit in. But contrarily to all of my other identities, me being bisexual, being an atheist, what else? The fuck? I'm blanking. Anyways, all of these other identities that came later on, and also some of them took a long time to process and accept and all of that. To this day, this, like me being biracial, is the one identity that I cannot really reckon with, that I cannot really fully, not embrace. I embrace it, but feel like everything is in place. It's like a puzzle that hasn't been quite finished. My bisexuality took me 6 years of questioning for me to realize I was bi, accept that I was bi, proclaim that I am bi. And after that, it felt like, oh, the puzzle is complete. Like, of course, in life, I will still have many different sexuality awareness moments. And my queerness is I'm always learning from that. I'm always growing as a queer person, right? But this puzzle feels like it's complete. Like I've embraced fully this identity. And I've never felt that with me being half Lebanese. I've always felt like I was lacking, like I'm not close enough to my culture. And so that's what I want to talk about, because I think, there's a clear representation of what a biracial person is. And it's often like white, half black person, maybe sometimes a half white, half Asian person. But I don't think I've seen a lot of people being half white, half Arab. So I think it's going to be interesting. And I also think that each person, like different biracial person, has such a different experience, right? Because I think when you're half black and half white, your experience as a half black, the half black part of your identity prevails because people are fucking racist as fuck, right? Yet sometimes you also benefit from more privilege than fully black people, right? So I think each identity is so different, and I really want to open up a conversation about biraciality because I think it's a topic that deserves a lot of nuance, and I think it's something that can weigh on someone's sense of identity from a young age. Like me, hi. So basically, growing up, like I went to Lebanon for the first time when I was like 6 months old. I was a baby. My mom like brought me to Lebanon to show me to all of my family, obviously. I have to make like the introductions, come on. And yeah, from that moment, I literally went to Lebanon every year and sometimes twice a year. So I would go every summer, and I would go from my birth until age 15, which is when my grandma passed away. May she rest in peace. That I would go every summer for 6 weeks. So my summer at the time was about 2 months long, and I would go 6 weeks out of those 2 months. The thing about me is I have very, very, very few memories of my childhood. It's very blurry. My memories, I think it's interesting to ask people that, how they perceive their memories. My memories in my mind are like a painting, but an impressionist one. It's like Monet, okay? It's like I remember the color, I remember flashes of it. And it's really the aesthetic. And this is the most artsy shit I've ever said. But yeah, I remember it like a painting. And almost all of my memories from that period are in Lebanon. So from birth until I was 11 years old. And all of my cherished memories from childhood are in Lebanon. So I have a very, very deep attachment to that place. I have very cherished memories with my loved ones there. And it's something that you cannot erase, right? Even though I still struggle with my identity as a half Lebanese, it's something that lives in me through those memories, right? So also when I was a kid, I had a very, very curly hair. Like right now I do have still curly hair, but when I was a kid, my hair was even more curly. And so it was so curly that it made like a little mini afro when I was like 1 year old or something. And I think that a lot of people of color, not that I consider myself a person of color, but a lot of people of color relate to the hair experience. I think hair means a lot, especially to Black and Arab people. And when it's not straight. Concretely, let's be honest, hair, for the most part, is supposed to be straight. Like, to this day, I have so many of my friends who have straight hair. Like, some of my Thai friends here in Thailand have asked me if I've permed my hair. Like, if I did a fucking perm on my hair. I'm like, no, babe, I was born like this. Like, this is my natural hair. Hello. But anyways, but yeah, I think curly hair is such a statement of otherness. And of course for Black people, it's even, worse because they have also like a different hair texture, right? My hair texture is also not the same as white people. It's kind of fluffy. I call it like cloudy because it's like a cloud. Like you can smash it and like, I don't know, it's just fluffy, you know? But, yeah, Black people have even like, we all know how important hair is to Black people, and for good reason, especially since they have been discriminated on the basis of it for so long, right? And continue to be. But I think, yeah, it was interesting because I'm kind of really skipping ahead, but like a couple years ago, I went to see a play about a Black person, a Black woman who does great plays. It's called The Assignation. So it's basically how people are assigned certain stereotypes and certain labels just for being born a certain hair color or having certain hair or having a certain look to them, right? And she had a whole section of that play about hair, and almost everything that she said in that play about hair, I related to deeply. I was there with my best friend. So I have two best friends. Sorry, it's gonna get confusing. One of them is Algerian and she has like very, very curly hair, very thick hair. Like it's even way curlier than mine, okay? And so, yeah, she also completely related to that. And I was like, we were just talking about it for so long after the play, because we love that even though we are not Black and we will never claim that experience or claim to fully understand that experience, we related on that topic. And it really shows that otherness where whatever it is always makes the person who feels other like alienated from society, right? So anyways, when I was a kid, I think I didn't really realize that I was different. I think my hair is really what set me apart from other kids. So when I entered primary school, on the first year of primary school, so first grade, I had no real friends. Like I had buddies that I would hang out with in school, but I didn't really have like a group of friends that I would hang out with like every recess, every canteen moments. No, never. And I was kind of like alone. And yeah, when I was a kid, like in that first grade, I was very introverted, very shy. I grew up very reserved, and it's something that has shaped much of my relationships and my way of being to this day. I think when you grow up a shy person, even though you can become the most extroverted, the least shy person ever, this sticks with you. And for me, even now, when I know that I'm gonna have like a group meeting with a lot of people and first impressions, I am still very stressed about that because of the way I grew up. And I grew up feeling so other from everyone else. And not just because I'm biracial, and not because my hair were different, but just because I just felt so out of place all the time. I didn't know how to socialize with others like a normal person. I was simply not normal. And to this day, I believe I'm not normal, and I embrace it now, but it's really hurtful because in that first way, I remember, so for me, I grew up in Paris, so it's a very multicultural, multiracial city. Where I grew up from primary school to middle school, I was surrounded by people of color. Like I would say it wasn't even 50% of kids that were white in my school. And as I said in the last episode, I love that. I love that so much. But it also meant like most Arab people in France are from Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. So they're from North Africa, and like North African Arabs and Middle Eastern Arabs are completely different. They have very, very different cultures, even though those cultures intersect. For example, in the Arab world, the most famous entertainers, it was like a sort of golden age about like 80 years ago or something. Maybe not 50 years. I don't know. Sorry. I actually saw an exhibition about that. But anyways, in the biggest performers and entertainers, from the Arab world were Lebanese and Egyptians. And so, anyways, just for that to say that apart from that, the culture is similar in some ways, but very different in others. And, I just like these people didn't even clock me as being Arab. So all the Arab kids would hang out together and talk about their country and their religion. And obviously I forgot to say, but I'm not Muslim. I grew up a Christian. I am now an atheist. That will be also an episode of this podcast later on. But, I also am Christian. So I think it also affected a lot of the socialization that I did when I was a kid. And so one of the things that really bothered me is that I would hang out with the white kids instead. And this is all implicit, right? It's not something that like the Arab kids said, you're white, let's go. It's just the way that people would kind of gather together, right? And so I would go with the kind of weird white kids, shy ones, or the weird ones. And we were a small group, never really close friends, just like buddies because we had no other friends. We were kind of the rejected ones, if you will. And I remember one of the girls there, like just touching my hair and being like, oh, why is your hair so weird? Like, I don't get it. And weirdly enough, like a year or two after, I started brushing my hair. And so from like age, I think 7 to age 13, I brush my hair every morning, even though I have naturally curly hair. If you know anything about curly hair, you can imagine how fucking ugly that was. Like how horrible. Like nowadays, every time I brush my hair out, Or sometimes I brush them dry because I actually find it easier for me to get rid of the knots when they're not wet. I take a picture and post it on my Instagram story, and everyone is laughing because, bitch, my hair is like horrible, genuinely disgusting. Yeah, I remember that. And this was the first, I think, interaction that I really remember setting myself apart from others. I was like, okay, I look white, but the non-white thing about me is my hair. Also, I had a unibrow until 13 as well. 13 is the year I did my whole makeover. That's the whole thing. But yeah, I had a unibrow, and I think, yeah, the two Lebanese parts about me is that I'm super hairy. Thanks, mom. And I have curly hair. So that's the Lebanese things about me. And funnily enough, years later, my hair and my brows became my favorite things about myself when I hated myself. So I would hate everything about myself. I was such like in a self-hate tornado of feelings for years and years and years. Like that was horrible. Okay. My whole teenage years were stuck in like a hate train against myself. It was truly horrible. I talk about it very detached, but it's a very trying times to have been in, and it's a really horrible memory. But now I can talk about it very detached because I genuinely do not see what the past Axelle saw. Now I think I'm genuinely the baddest bitch ever. So, we're not the same. But yeah, I had to like work on myself for a decade to reach self-confidence and self-love. So just saying. But, I think, yeah, that first interaction really was the first time I realized, wow, okay, I am white, but I'm different. There's something wrong about me? Wrong question mark? Like, what's up? And later on, the same year, I think, the same year, we, every time there would be a birthday in the class, we would like celebrate it. So people would bring drinks and a cake and candies and whatever, and we would celebrate it. And, I think that was the year after. I think I was about 7. So I remember that like it was an Arab kid's birthday. So we wished him, like sung him a happy birthday in French. And after that, all the other Arab kids in the room were like, let's sing in Arab. And luckily for me, a couple months before, my mom had taught me how to sing Happy Birthday in Arabic. So I joined in. Like everyone started singing, and because I knew the words, like when you hear a song, you're gonna sing too, right? And so I started singing, and I remember my teacher was just like walking around the table, smiling as we were all singing in Arab. And she noticed I was singing too, and she put her hand in my shoulder. And I looked up, like she was right there, right above me. And she was really, I saw a lot of surprise on her face. And she was like, Axelle, you know this song too? Like, you know how to sing this song? And very casually as a kid, I was like, yeah. And then she nodded and she just kept on walking. But I think subconsciously, this interaction, the fact that I still remember it, I told you guys, I don't remember much from my childhood, but the fact that I remember this interaction, and I've remembered it for so many years, and I still feel the weight of her hand on my shoulder, guys. It truly signifies that this moment meant a lot to me. It signaled something to me. It told me, like you're singing in Arabic, but you don't look Arabic. Like there's something wrong with you. There's something that you don't fit in. You don't fit in. And, I really think this moment meant a lot to me as a kid. And the fact, I think also that I started brushing my hair. So basically, my grandma, my white grandma, she brushed my hair every time I would go to her, like her house. She would be like, oh my God, your hair is so messy. Because obviously she didn't know better. She never had, like coincidentally, we are only 2 cousins from like my dad and his sister. Both of us are half like Arab. So yeah, we're both half, but my cousin has straight hair. So, she would brush my hair. I remember that as well. But I don't know why I started brushing my hair. And to this day, I asked my mom, why did you let me brush my hair when it looked like fucking shit. Like, clearly, you could see that it was not meant to be brushed out, right? And she's like, I don't know. I don't remember. My mom sometimes is weird. Sometimes she's like, I don't remember. I'm like, babes, you have curly hair. You should have known that I had the same hair type as you. Like, what's up? So I don't know what my mom was thinking at the time. Maybe she wanted me to fit in with the other white kids. I have no idea. But yeah, I think that's when I really started blending in with the other white kids, because my hair was not curly anymore. It was just like a bird's nest, pretty much. Really not good. And I kind of didn't really think much about being half Lebanese for like the rest of primary school. But then I entered middle school, and in middle school I had a lot on my plate. So let me touch on to this, because I will do a full episode one day. I'm just like waiting to be ready emotionally, because that will be a long ass episode. But I was put on a diet when I was 12 years old, and 2 years before I hit puberty, and I wasn't fat. I just had a tummy. I really did. And yeah, it fucked me up. It fucked my body image. It fucked everything up. And yeah, for the next decade, I had to fight to love myself. And I was mostly hating myself the whole time. So yeah, hard times, difficult times, a lot of emotional baggage. To this day, even though I've processed a lot of it, it is my biggest emotional baggage, emotional damage, if you will, in my life. And it has, I think, it kind of took away from my identity crisis about being biracial. I was like, who cares if I'm biracial? I am fat. I am horrible. I am ugly, blah, 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 unlovable. So yeah. But around 13 is when I was like put on the diet. So I started losing weight, and I was kind of approaching puberty. And so I kind of started becoming a little bit more like mature looking, like a woman / teenager rather than a kid, right? And at the time I was wearing my hair in this side ponytail, brushed out hair still, in this side ponytail. And it was, again, disgusting. It looks like a fucking rat tail or something. Disgusting. And I was just like, I don't know, at 13, at 13, two events happened. One girl from my school that was like 1 year or 2 years older told me like, you should wax your eyebrows, because again, I had a unibrow. And yeah, I went home that night, asked my mom to pluck my eyebrows. So I got rid of the unibrow. And the same year, a little later, because I had lost quite a lot of weight, I was becoming like kind of I felt pretty for the first time in a long time, because through this diet, pretty became associated with being thin. And I also started watching videos of there's this French YouTuber. I think she helped so many girls with curly hair, for real. Because she's called Shara, and she's like, still, I saw her on TikTok. Like, I don't know, I got an ad on TikTok from her. I was so happy to see her again with her beautiful hair. She has beautiful curly hair, like super big, super curly, super long, like beautiful, gorgeous curly hair. And she started making YouTube videos at the time. It's been like a decade now. And seeing her have curly hair genuinely like encouraged me so much to accept my hair. I was like, she looks so good with that curly hair. Why am I still brushing my hair? Because I could see my hair was curly when I washed it. When it was still wet, it was curly. And now I would brush it out. And so I decided to stop brushing it out. And I remember that moment like clearly. At first my curls were fucked up. It took me like a year or two for my curls to re-become like what they genuinely are, because I had brushed them out for like 6 years. And I remember the first time I let my curls out, I took a selfie. I had this digital camera, this green digital camera that I took everywhere, to like on vacation, took pictures and everything. And I had a mirror in my room, which is still in my room, still the same fucking mirror, even though it's kind of chipped now, but anyways. And I took a selfie with this digital camera of me with curly hair in the mirror. And I posted it on Facebook because at the time Facebook was all the rage, okay? And I remember one of the popular girls in my school, that was kind of a bitch to me. Sometimes it's nice, sometimes our relationship was complicated. I remember she commented like, wow, you look so good, like, or your hair looks so good. And I remember at the time, that validation meant a lot to me. If like it's the prettiest girl in school, the it girl in school, that tells me this, like for me, it really meant a lot, And, I've never sought validation from men, always from the other hot girlies. Just saying. But, I remember that I was like, okay, now I'm a hot bitch. I'm thin. I have curly hair. I waxed my fucking unibrow. Like, let's go. I think that's when I really embraced my hair. And weirdly enough, embracing my hair brought out the Lebanese in me. Like, I started really thinking, like, what does being Lebanese means? I feel like I'm not close enough to my roots, because the thing is I don't speak Lebanese. And I curse my mom about that every day. I asked her, why didn't you teach me? I would be a polyglot by now, because I would speak French, English, Thai, and Lebanese, bitch. I would be so cool. And now, no. I mean, technically, I'm not even trilingual because my Thai is not that good. But anyways, so I just remember starting to have a sort of crisis that would come and go. Like, these topics, obviously, is not 24/7 on my mind. But I would be like, I cannot even speak Lebanese. I live in France. I am my personality is French. My culture is French. But I'm half Lebanese, like there's something missing, there's something not right. The puzzle hasn't been finished. The puzzle is not complete. Yeah, I would still go to Lebanon every summer, and one Christmas out of two. So one Christmas I would go to my French grandma's house, because my French grandpa passed away when I was super young. So yeah, we would spend it with my French grandma so she doesn't feel alone. And on the other hand, we would spend it the other year with my whole family in Lebanon. So my family in Lebanon, my French family is very small. So I have close ones, right? I have my grandma, and I have my aunt, and I have my cousin. My cousin lives in Switzerland, so I barely see him. My aunt had kind of a fight with my mom, kind of the evil stepmother thing. It kind of was a thing for my mom. And yeah, personalities clashed because my mom and my dad's family's personalities could not be more opposites. But now my mom and my grandma are besties. So, just saying. Yeah, so the to this day, my only close family members in France is really my grandma. I'm super close to her, even though she kind of hated me when I was a kid because I was super clumsy and kept breaking her shit. Sorry, I guess. And I remember when I turned 14 is when I started feeling like I could really talk to her, and she treated me more like an adult, and we got along way more. And with my dad, weirdly enough, it was also the same feeling. Even though my dad was very present for me in my childhood, I never felt like we could really talk and understand each other in the way that my mom and I understand each other, because my mom and I have very similar personalities, very opposite as well sometimes. It's complicated. But yeah. My throat is dry. I am talking so much. But on my Lebanese side, so my mom is the oldest sibling of 4 siblings. So there's my mom. Hi, I'm the only child from that side, because in Lebanon it's not seen well for me to be an only child. That will be another episode of this podcast. I have so much to say about being an only child, for real. The comments I've gotten over the years. Flabbergasting, especially when I tell you guys my parents' story. Anyways, so then we have my aunt, who's only 1 year younger than her. She has 3 sons. Now they live in Canada. I used to be very close to the 2 younger sons to her 2 younger sons. And yeah, we got along so well. But then life happened, and, they got older, and I was still kind of a kid, and now they live in Canada. So we're not close at all, generally. not at all. Then we have the third sister who has 4 kids. So she has 3 daughters that I was also kind of close to, even though they live in a mountain very far away. So I've never hung out with them a lot, but I have very cherished memories of us all going in the mountain to visit them. And yeah, it's a very, very dear childhood memories to me. And she also has 1 son that is the youngest cousin I have. And then there is my uncle who is the youngest child and has 2 kids, 1 girl and 1 boy. And I was very, very close to them. But now I feel like we're kind of in different eras of our lives. I am kind of old. I'm 24. My cousin is 18. So she's kind of like finding her footing. She's not yet an adult, but still like very much a teenager. And my younger cousin is 14 and an Andrew Tate fan. Like he is in that time where, you know, complicated. But yeah, he's just like, we're not relating, but I have a belief that one day we will. And yeah, that's fine. One thing about my family is that growing up, I also felt like I didn't belong with them at all. And to be true to be said, I still completely feel that way because I was always the French cousin. And my cousins would use me to brag to their friends, like this is my French cousin. She comes from Paris. Let's go. And that's fine. Like that's okay because, you know, Lebanese people, a lot of them don't want to be Lebanese. Like even back in the day, before the crisis, a lot of them would tell me like, oh, I wish I was French like you. And honestly, it would put me in a very awkward position because what do you reply to that? Don't be like, don't wish it. Like, I don't know their experience. And yeah, so I've always felt alienated from my family to this day. I love them. I have really great times with them. But the thing is, I will always be the outsider of that family. I will always be, now even more than ever before. I am fat. I have colored hair. If they ever find out I'm bisexual, I'll probably be excommunicated or some shit. You know, like, this is kind of, the reality of things. This is just how it is. And I'm not really like a super family person. Like, I don't really care about the extended family, but I'm super close to my parents, though. Me and my parents were like this, okay? But yeah, growing old and going to Lebanon every summer was realizing more and more that I would never truly understand my family. I would never like relate to them. I would never belong again. And one of the earliest memories I have of going to Lebanon was, I think I must have been 4 or 5 years old. And I was in my uncle's car. And in Lebanon, it's very common to have beggars on the road. So once you're at like a stop, they come and want to sell you anything. And I remember being 4 or 5 years old and seeing a kid my age, or maybe only a year or 2 older, selling chewing gum on the side of the road. For me, that was a shock. That was a shock. I had never seen anything like this before. Never, ever, ever, ever. And to this day, I remember things as paintings, right? I have this painting burned into my mind. And that's also when I realized, oh, we're not the same. I will never know the struggles that Lebanese people have experienced. And, you know, growing up, my mom referenced the war that she lived through very often. Very often. She's like, so my mom is like really, really great. She was always into literature. So literature is what made her come to France. So basically, as a kid, she was the oldest sibling. She would literally lock herself inside the bathroom and read French books. That's how she became infatuated with French culture. And yeah, she was really excellent at school. She ended second in the whole country of Lebanon at the high school diploma exam that they do every year. She literally had dinner with the prime minister. Not to brag. This is why I say my mom is the academic one. I'm just like, I'm cruising by. I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. Like, my mom is... I cannot, you know, I've never aspired to be super academic because I know I cannot beat her. I'm like, that's for you, babes. I'm the artistic one. You're the academic one. But, yeah. And so she got a scholarship for her master's degree, and came to France at 24 years old. And this is the time I need to remind you that I am 24 years old, doing my master's in Thailand. Our stories mirror each other so much, right? She was obsessed with French culture through books. I was obsessed with Thai culture through series. Same story. His story repeats itself. And if you want to ask me how my mom takes it that I want to live in Thailand more permanently, I think she's still hoping that I change my mind and hate Thailand suddenly. But yeah, it's really hard to feel like you cannot relate to someone when you really, really desperately want to, right? It's really hard to be always seen as the outsider in your family. And, you know, I gotta say that. Oh my God. Year or 2 years ago, I don't remember. No, 2 years ago. Yeah, almost 2 years ago now. We went back to Lebanon for Christmas. It was during COVID. We were like, we gotta go because like basically every 6 months, my mom tells me that my grandpa doesn't have much left to live. Like she can feel it. So every time she's like, okay, let's go to Lebanon. And so we went to Lebanon that time. And again, as I said, I spent 10 years working so hard on loving myself and feeling so confident in myself. But I remember on that Christmas day, so we always spend it at my uncle. My uncle is rich. He's the rich bitch of the family. Okay. Yeah, he always does like really good Christmas party where he invites the whole family. And this time it was really special because my aunt that lives in the mountains super far away, she also came down for Christmas. So that was like kind of a special moment. And, sadly, like, I felt body dysmorphia come back and I felt so insecure that night. I felt so fat and so, like, disgusting that night. And it didn't help that, again, I'm the only French cousin. So sometimes they would talk to each other in Lebanese, which I can understand. I cannot speak it, but I can understand it pretty okay. And I just, you know, I think at that age, I was 22. It's really when I realized, when it hit me, wow, like, I'm here because I'm part of the family, but at the same time, I feel like everyone feels like a stranger. Like, I feel so out of place. And for a second, I was put back in the feeling that I had my whole childhood. The feeling of being so inadequate, of being so out of place all the time. And it's a feeling I think that, again, growing up who I was as a very shy, reserved girl, you can never fully get rid of, but I've gotten so good at socializing. I've gotten so good at always being myself. Like, one thing about me, you cannot tell me that I am not myself. I am always myself. Always. Now, it's not something that I can't even force myself to be myself. I just am. I just am. I just worked so hard to love myself that I cannot compromise myself anymore. I'm wholeheartedly 1000% always myself. Sometimes I tone myself down a little bit. That's the only exception. But, yeah. And that dinner shocked me. I was like, wow, I feel like shit. And it was not like nothing really bad happened except that my grandpa threw a tantrum. But my grandpa is a very complicated figure in my life. So honestly, he would deserve its own, episode podcast on his own, like for real. But, yeah, I think it's hard feelings to accept when you want to belong so bad. Like, I think my whole life, I've always wanted to belong so fucking bad. I just want to be part of the team. I just want to be accepted. And, yeah, I know that I am accepted. Like, I don't really feel judged. Of course, I am fat as fuck. So in their eyes, like, I am weird and not good looking and like, I have colored hair, so I look weird. I'm just different. But I was, even before I gained weight and before I dyed my hair, I was always weird. I was always different. Always. And yeah, the cultural differences between me and my cousins are insane. Like, so many of them are so, like, they're very spoiled. Very, very spoiled. They grew up, you know, I'm supposed to be the privileged one because I grew up in France. But they're so much more spoiled than I ever was. One thing I'm really glad about is that I really have, like, I understand money. Like, I care about money. I've always been someone who, like, loves to save stuff, which is great because now I still have some saving left, even though I spent a gap year in Thailand, you know. But my cousins, they are completely detached from reality. And not even my cousin. There's my mom has this best friend and her daughter studies in France. And when I was in Paris 2 months ago, we hung out together, and my mom and her mom went to watch the sunset together as besties do. And I was left with this girl, and we talked about like how she's getting used to Paris. And she was like, she told me some of the most egregious shit ever. She told me, one of my classmates didn't bring a bottle of water, so I told her, go buy one at the district, like, vending machine. And she looked at me and said, I'm poor, I don't have anything in my wallet. And the Lebanese girl, was shocked. She was like, that's so rude. I'm like, how is it rude? She just told you she ain't got no money. Water is drinkable in Paris. You can just like go, like, put her bottled water above the sink and get more water. But no, there's a lack of empathy, and like, I gotta say, Lebanese people are so sheltered. No shade. Oh my God. And that has been my feeling since I was born, pretty much. Like, every Lebanese person I've talked to, and I've talked to mostly rich, sheltered people. I'm sure the poorer people don't think that way, but gosh, even French rich people are not that detached from reality. Like, they are, but not on that level. Not on that level. I swear, the amount, I'm not about to give you my family tea, but I swear to God, the amount of shit I've heard, you would be shocked. It would be shocked. So there's also that, like, in France, it's okay to say you're poor, but it's not okay to say you're rich. You have to hide the fact that you're rich. You have to be humble. In Lebanon, it's the complete opposite. You have to show off, always show off. I remember my uncle bought like a super expensive watch. I will let you guess the fucking brand, okay? In Paris, when he visited us over a decade ago, right? And I remember, like, we came to Lebanon right after, like a couple months after, and I was with my cousin, who's 18 now. We were hanging out, and her dad came to her and said, go tell this friend of mine, look at daddy's watch. So my cousin had to go to my uncle's friend and tell him, look at my daddy's watch, just so my uncle could brag about having a super expensive watch. I swear, I love Lebanese people. Very welcoming. The food is bangers. The music is honestly a bop. But goddamn, out of touch. Especially now in today's climate, right? Especially now that like 75% of Lebanese people live under the poverty line. Like, babes. Anyways, this is not a rant about like Lebanese people, but I think this is also one of the things that contributed to me always feeling like I am half of my blood comes from this country, yet I do not get this country. And then I went to high school, and in my high school was super white. It was like a really, it was not in my neighborhood, it was not in my arrondissement, so in my district in Paris. It was in it's in the Marais, if you know anything about Paris. So super rich, super fancy neighborhood. And I was mostly with white people. Like, mostly I knew one Lebanese guy who looked less Lebanese than me, and I'm pretty sure he was fully Lebanese. That's the crazy thing. And one Lebanese girl who, yeah, she looked way more Arab than me for sure. But yeah, apart from that, like, very few. There were like 2 black people in my grade, and that's it. I'm not kidding. Like, 2 Asian people. That truly egregious for me, who used to have like a class where more than 50% of it was not white people. Egregious. Okay, I was like, what the fuck, these are not my people. Okay, I might look white, but this is not my people. And I remember like that I felt even more out of place in that fucking high school, but that was also because I was at the peak of my body dysmorphia, hatred of myself. But high school was not fun for me. Not fun at all. Absolutely, honestly hell on earth. Yeah. But I think the hardest part about being Lebanese is that like I cannot fully put words on why I feel so out of place. Why I feel like there's something missing. there's truly like I'm like a puzzle and there's one piece missing for real, because I don't know why I keep talking about puzzles. Maybe that's my new thing, but it's just truly, it was something that really, it's something to this day that I that hurts me, that I'm like, there's something I must do. And since high school, I was kind of dreaming of one day doing a gap year in Lebanon, like living 1 year in Lebanon, so I would be closer to my family. Now, sadly, like most of my family doesn't even live in Lebanon anymore. And yeah, I would just be closer to my roots. I would eat Lebanese all the time, and it was just, I would learn Lebanese and speak Lebanese and like be Lebanese. For the first time in my life, I would be Lebanese. The half part of me that is Lebanese would truly thrive, you know? And then obviously, like, since 2018, Lebanon has been just going through fucking hell. So now it's not really that possible, but I still have that dream. Someday I really still have that dream. And I really hope so. That I am able to, because I think I've always, you know, very, like, since I was 14 or so, I had this term of roots. I would always talk about my roots. And when I speak about my roots, I always talk about the Lebanese portion, because I feel like that's the roots I don't know. Like French, I am French. I've lived in France. I feel French. When I introduce myself, I say I am French. And then a couple lines later, I will be like, yeah, I was in Lebanon. Oh, by the way, I'm half Lebanese. And one thing that really shocked me now that I live in Thailand is that this part of my identity is even more erased. Because the thing is, in Paris, there's a lot of Lebanese people. So it's not uncommon to hear the word Lebanese. Okay, like people are not shocked. They're not like, huh? What is that? Literally in my class, I told them I'm half Lebanese. And they were like, what is that? And I was like, you know, it's a little country in the Middle East between Syria and Israel. Hello. And I'm convinced they still don't know what I'm talking about. Like they got that it was in the Middle East. That's it, right? Yeah, it really shocked me. It really hurt me, actually. For something so silly. They don't know Lebanon, whatever. It's like literally 3 million inhabitants. It's a small ass fucking country, right? But I was hurt. I was like, to you, I will always be the French one. I will never be half French, half Lebanese. And I think this is something that I really envy people who are biracial, and you can tell that they're not fully one thing and not fully the other. Because it's shown on their face and their skin that they are an in-between. They are biracial. But because for me it doesn't show, I feel like people don't perceive me as who I am. And you know, for the longest time, since I was in middle school, I dreamed of getting tan like my mom. Because my mom has more, now not that much. Now she's pretty pale, no shade or whatever. But she had a very tan skin, especially in summer. She would tan like crazy. And I would be so jealous. So when I started being able to tan, so when I was like about 14, 15, I would like tan more and care more about tanning. And to this day, like every time I can tan, I will do it so willingly. I would be like, I know sun is bad for you, but I'm like, bitch, I need to tan a little bit because I'm so pale. I look so white. I want to be closer to what my mom looks like. I want to be closer to my roots. Again, we go back to this. And I really, a lot of my life, I envied people who were like half black, half white, because you can tell they're not fully black, they're not fully white. Like you can tell from one look at them, you know their identity. From one look at me, you don't know my identity at all. No one has ever guessed in my life that I am not fully white. And sometimes it's really hurtful. Like it doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, does any of this matter? No. But it matters to me. It matters to my sense of identity that I've built since I was a kid, where I felt like I didn't have one, you know? And for me, that's the hurtful thing, is that I wish people could look at me and know who I am and read the content of my heart. Because it would make it easier for me to explain. And honestly, sometimes I also wish like, no, actually, I was going to say sometimes I wish like people would look at me and know all of my identities at once, know that I'm bisexual and things like that. But actually, no. And that also will be another podcast episode where I talk about, I think I'm going to do 2 different episodes. One about like me coming into realizing that I was bi, which was a whole process on its own. But also, I think I will do another video on coming out specifically, because I think coming out has been oversold in the West, and I think it shouldn't. So I said what I said. But it's just, frankly, sometimes I ask myself, am I doing like too much? Am I running into circles on this topic since I've been a little kid for nothing? Because recently I was watching a Jubilee video or a cut video, one of the two, and they had like, guess who's not white, and the person who was not white was Lebanese, and she looked Arab. I don't look Arab, but she looked Arab. And then at the end they were like, yeah, according to the US data center that decides this kind of shit, basically Lebanese people are classed like kind of a type of Turkish people who also think they're white. And for me, that's also, oh my God. So I had my Hassan Piker face where I would watch a lot of his YouTube, like his lives on YouTube, because I cannot, like, I'm truly obsessed with having noise in my ears at all times. I cannot sit with myself in silence. That's just a non-concept. And so I loved his streams because I would like get like, there's so many channels on YouTube that take his streams and put them like this. And I would just listen to his random opinions on everything. And he looks fucking Arab. Like, I'm gonna be honest. He looks Arab as fuck. His name is Arab as fuck. He's a Muslim. And he always says I'm white, and I get the biggest backlash. I'm like, white? Are you? Are you? And I think this is what tells you that this whole shit is so manufactured. This whole shit is such bullshit, right? Because it's about what you look and not where you're really from. Another example from a YouTuber. So there's this YouTuber that I really love called Yo Home Girl. She does a lot of fashion content. She lives in Korea. And I've been following her for many years, and she looks Asian. She's never really talked about it. She looks Asian. I genuinely believed she was at least half Asian. But she is from Peruvian descent. So her parents are, as far as I know, both Peruvian, and moved to the US later. And when I realized that, I saw her that she showed her that in one of her videos, and he's also very Asian looking. And I realized at the time it really bothered me. I was like, how is she not Asian? I think her dad is Asian, but I don't know. And now I think, again, no confirmation whatsoever. This is not me calling her out, trying to start drama. I love her again. But the thing is, I'm pretty sure her parents are simply both Peruvian, but her dad has some native blood in him that makes him look more with Asian features that we associate more with Asian people, right? And I realized that I was always like, I think she's Asian. She looks Asian. And then I realized you're doing to someone what others have done to you your whole life, reducing you to your appearance. And I think it must be really horrible to look like another race than you are and always getting the comments. I know a lot of Latino people get the comment that they look like Asian people. A lot of native people get the comment that they look like Asian people. And that's why it's so dumb, because everything is so manufactured. Let people be people. And I realized that I was always like, man, she looks so Asian. I don't get it. I wanted the confirmation that she really has no Asian blood in her. And then I was like, why does it matter so much? You look white to everyone else, but you know you're half Lebanese. And it hurts you that people never see your Lebanese side. It hurts you. Yet why am I freaking out about this YouTuber that I like looking Asian when she's not Asian? Like, I was so dumb for that. I was so dumb. And it's okay to recognize when you're dumb. In fact, you should recognize when you're being dumb, because that's when you grow. And really, this is something that really made me grow, that now I really don't assume the ethnicity of anyone. Like, truly, I'm like, you could look very stereotypically one race and I would still be like, where are you from? Like, what's up? Not in like, where are you from? You look a little ethnic. Of course not. But like, I let people introduce themselves to me. And yeah, I think this is very interesting because, again, according apparently to the US census that of whatever, Lebanese people are white. So maybe I am fully white. Maybe I'm just making a big deal out of fucking nothing. Okay. But the thing is, it's been something that's been on my mind my whole life. So I'm not gonna invalidate my feelings on it either. I'm not gonna be like, guess I should just cut my losses. And again, I do not consider myself to be a person of color. Never, 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 ever. Okay. I have never suffered from racism. Never in my life. Never suffered any discrimination. In fact, I have felt my level of privilege. I'm taking so seriously because I look white. I've always been respected in my life. And compared to my Algerian best friend who has suffered so much racism in her life, I cannot even compare. I cannot even open my mouth to complain because it wouldn't be right, And I just, at this point, it's just something that you have to accept in life, that people will not always and often won't perceive you the way that you are and the way that you want to be perceived, right? And it's something that I am dealing with more and more. But I do think that one day I really want to learn Lebanese. I really want to go live in Lebanon. I want to be closer to this culture that has given me so much throughout my life, through this country that has given me my dearest childhood memories. And to my warmest family that I rarely ever see now, because we don't go to Lebanon every summer anymore because my grandma passed away when I was 15. I think being biracial is very confusing, especially when you don't look the parts, especially when no one can tell who you are. I think it creates a complex inside of you. For me, I think it's definitely created something inside of me that was born the moment I was born, that grew up with me, because even though getting older, the reaction to people differs, especially now that I live in Thailand. Like, again, I've been asked multiple times, that's crazy, if my hair is permed. They cannot comprehend that a white looking bitch like me can have curly hair. And to be fair, some white, like fully white girls have curly hair too, like that's not an exclusive for people of color. But I think the fact that it really has been a wound in my chest this whole time is something to consider, and I will never claim the person of color experience. Again, I might be fully white according to the US census or whatever, but I do want to feel closer to the other half of my ethnicity, culture. I want to feel closer because my mom, she's very French. Like, she has zero accent, which is not something to be proud about as an immigrant. Every immigrant is valid, whether they have an accent or not. But yeah, she has no accent. She's more French than my dad and I, for real. Like, I'm not joking. She's so French. So French it hurts. And my mom, for the longest time, that's also a Lebanese thing, but she was like, I'm white, because she grew up in an era, that's what she told me. I'm not talking for her. She told me that when in an era where you're either white or you're black, like there's no Arabs are people of color too. There's none of that. But the thing is, that statement is inherently flawed because she knows, like, it's so obvious that Arabs, especially in France, because there's so many Arabs, like they're the biggest demographic of immigrants in our country. They are so discriminated against. So saying that there's no color to describe them, that they're white, is completely false. They are not white. They are completely discriminated against. And color is used for that. Even though they might have as white of a skin as a white person, their features does not allow them to pass as white for the most part. But yeah, my mom for the longest time, I told her, you are not white, you are Arab. And then she's like, I'm not Arab, I'm Middle Eastern, I'm from Asia. Because yeah, the Middle East is in like minor Asia. That's how we call it in French. I don't know how it's called in English. Comment down below. And I'm like, girly, like you would consider Saudi Arabians to be people of color. You would consider like Syrians to be people of color. Why are you not considering yourself to be a person of color? And I think it's something inherent to especially Christians, Christian Lebanese people, because they really see themselves as like a white, like they have a white religion. And Islam is not a white religion, which is insane. Jesus was a person of color, babes. Anyways. So yeah, the amount of times like Lebanese people have not gotten it, and to be fair, Lebanese people are very racist. So if you don't know, in Lebanon, they have maids. And so, growing up, that's also something that completely shook me because, you know, even in growing up, even my rich friends, I never had like super rich friends. Of course, super rich people in France, they have maids or whatever, but they're never like, rarely people exploit it like that. Usually, if you're super rich, you're gonna get a maid that's like maybe speaking English, so your kid can be bilingual or something, but it will be a white maid, okay? But in Lebanon, they import, because basically slavery. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. It's basically modern slavery, for real. They import maids from Ethiopia and the Philippines, and at the time, now it has been changed in the past couple of years, but for the longest time that I've been alive, the maids, the employer, I was going to say the owner, because for real, it feels like that, would take the passport of the maid and keep it with them until the contract was over. And no, girl, you have no idea. And those maids are not paid well. They're paid well for their country. They're not paid well for Lebanese standards. So they're completely exploited. They live in the house. And there's always drama with the maids. So the maids would like sometimes steal, sometimes do some shady shit, because obviously there's so much exploitation here. They're trying to make a quick buck and go back to their family with as much money as they can. You know, growing up, my aunt had this maid who was from the Philippines, and she spoke like perfect English, obviously. And she would always know every song on the radio at the time, like Adele, Rihanna. And so we would always sing together because that was my Rihanna era, which never ended. But yeah, I was such a Rihanna stan. So we would sing all the songs, and she was like so fun. And she had like 3 kids back home that she did not see grow up because she was busy serving this house in Lebanon. And now with the crisis in Lebanon where everyone is fucking poor, there's barely any maids anymore around. But yeah, it's insane. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest, it's something that has always bothered me. And why I'm saying that Lebanese are racists, because the maids that were looking often after all the kids, like the moms and the dads did not care for the kids at all. And that's also in big part why most Lebanese kids that were raised in like middle class to rich environments are super fucking spoiled. And I think that's also the difference between France and Lebanon. Lebanon, you just at the time, now again, things have changed. You just have to be middle class, and you would have at least one maid, and like everything would be you would be super rich, honestly. But in France, when you're middle class, like me, I grew up middle class, I've never had even like, the maids that come 1 hour per week to clean your house. No, I've never had any of this, So already, if you're middle class in Lebanon, you are completely detached from reality. Completely detached. And so I remember the day I learned that maids that look again after all the spoiled fucking brats cannot get in the pool. So the maids, I remember, so I would go to my aunt's, like she had a residence, and it's a residence where a bunch of people live, and there's this pool, and I would go to the pool every fucking, like in summer, I would be like every day. I love water, like it's my element, okay? And I would be in the pool, and I would see like all these maids that were like watching the kids. They would like be bent over the pool, but cannot enter the pool. If the kid is drowning, maybe she could, but they could not even touch the water. I'll let you guess why they cannot get inside the pool. So my grandma, before she passed away, she had Alzheimer, and she loved the pool. So we really tried, like, in every year until she passed, that like she would have the best summer ever. So when we would visit Lebanon, we'd always take her to the pool. And in the last years of her life, we had a maid that was Ethiopian. So we got a maid when my grandma got sick, because my grandpa, like, it's a patriarchal society, okay? So my grandpa would not do much. Also, he's pretty fucking old. So we needed, like, someone to help my grandma, because she was, like, could not do a lot of things by herself. And so my mom had to literally fight with the people of the pool to get the maid inside the water with my grandma. And she made it happen. But people were looking like crazy. We're like, why is this black woman in our pool? I had to say that in this video, because we're talking about me and my roots and blah, blah, blah. But I think we also have to acknowledge that, like, there is so much difference between Lebanon and France. And I'm gonna be honest, culturally, I am so glad that I am French. I think I would be so detached from reality if I was Lebanese. I think Lebanon is a country of so many paradox, which is the case for every country. Thailand is no better. But in general, I really think that Lebanon is such a beautiful country, but I think their state of mind is very complicated. Religion rules everything. You literally have your religion written on your ID. Also, I want to say I am not like a Lebanese citizen, because my mom is the Lebanese one. If my dad was Lebanese and my mom was French, I would automatically be a Lebanese citizen. Yeah, it's very... There's a lot of inequality issues in Lebanon. Not even talking about the way LGBTQ plus people are treated. And that's also sometimes like a big worry of mine. It's like, will I be accepted by my family? And I don't ever plan to come out. Like, if they find out, the thing is, if I ever get married to a woman, I will send out the invitations and like not talk about it. My sexuality and who I date is none of my family's business, but my family is very religious. They're all Christians. And yeah, I cannot say that I'm not worried if they ever find out what their reaction will be. The gossip about me is gonna be crazy. But it's not, again, I'm someone who's myself 24/7, and I'm not going to dim my light by fear that they find out or whatever. Like, if they stumble onto this podcast, they will know. And that's that on that. And I am very proud of who I am, and I am very proud of all of my identities, and I am proud to be half French and half Lebanese. I am truly so proud, and I wish that one day I will feel like the puzzle of me feeling like something is missing in my Lebanese identity will finally be solved. I really hope I can find this missing piece in my puzzle of who I am and feel like, wow, my puzzle is complete. I feel Lebanese, I feel French, I feel myself. And yeah, I think that was pretty much everything I had to say. So much to say. I have been talking for an hour 20. Let's see how much I can cut off of it. And I really want to ask, like, people who are biracial, whatever kind of mix you have, or even a mixed, like, multiple different ethnicities, to comment down below, because I think everyone has such a different experience, right? We are all so different, and I think it would also be interesting for Lebanese people to comment down below. Don't be too mad that I criticize your country. I remember one time I got into like a debate with my mom's best friend whose daughter is studying in Paris, because I said, like, yeah, Lebanese people are racist, and she's like, you cannot put everyone in the same basket. That's a French expression that I just translated, but you cannot say a whole country is racist. I'm like, no, but systemically, your country is racist. You exploit other people of color as maids. You do not let them have any rights. You are a country of racist people. It's not the intention. It's not the intention, but it's the reality of it. And, I think she was really shocked, because I was like 16 at the time. And, in Lebanon, kids do not talk to adults. Like, the separation between kids and adults is so big. And one other thing I love about France is that, like, usually kids are talked to like they are adults. So I've always talked with my parents' friends, like adult friends as a kid, and had full-fledged conversations, and they never looked down on me. And especially they would always say like, oh, why you speak so well, you have such like a big vocabulary when I was a kid, because yeah, I was that bitch. I was a great communicator since day one, baby. But, yeah, it's just like, I got into this debate and I think she was shook to her core. Like, she had never had someone like underage, like a kid, talking to her like this. And I came with the arguments. I came in, babes. Like, one thing about me, if you want to have a debate with me, you will lose. You will lose. That's the rule, babes. So yeah. And for me, it's just like, again, so much difference, so much different ways of thinking and living and speaking. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I am glad that my cultural background is French. Of course, I think if my cultural background was Lebanese, I would have also different strength and different great experiences. But, yeah, no, I love being French again. We had the first episode to talk about that. But, yeah, I really hope that one day I can truly feel like I have completely completed my identity. Like I'm yay, 100% myself. Because right now I'm like more than 99%. There's really this issue that still eats at me sometimes. So yeah, if you've ever felt like a similar way to me, please comment down below. Follow this podcast, share it with people. I really rely on people sharing my podcast because I don't know if like it will get to new ears on its own. I'm doing my best. I'm posting like TikTok reels. You can follow me on TikTok, by the way. So yeah, please try to encourage this podcast. I am really like, I'm into it. I think we can all have such great conversations, on various topics. I have no teaser for the next episode. It's already been chosen. Okay. No, let me give you the teaser for the next episode. Let me give it to you, babes. And it will be my journey from I'm not like other girls to feminism. So very, very interesting topic for next time. We're gonna get into some gender equality shirts, which is my favorite thing to discuss. For real. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that like it made you think about some things, about the way you perceive others as well. I think he's such like an important focal point because we live in such a racist society. And I wish that like everyone could just be themselves and be accepted. But obviously at this point, when I say this sounds like a complete dream world, right? It doesn't feel like it could exist in today's world, especially today's world, because I feel like we're more divided than ever. Progressive people are more progressive than ever, but conservative people are more conservative than ever and more hateful than ever. So it's really like really complicated to get by at this point. It's like there's only two camps and we're like both pulling on the cord from both sides and we're just stuck. Like no one is gonna win. Hopefully I hope that the progressive side is gonna win, obviously. But yeah, at this point I feel like this society is not at the moment. We are not okay. We are not okay in so many ways. So yeah, we are done with today's episode. I rambled far too much. And yeah, I just want to say that I am still very glad to be biracial. I think traveling so early on and experiencing another culture so early on has really helped me love difference even more than I already do and embrace difference so much. And yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love who I am. I love where I come from. I love each and every one of my identities in life. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this second episode of Apero Talk. I'll see you in a month. Bye bye.